I don't know about anybody else, but my wallet's going to be hurting this year. Thanks, Nintendo. So it's the big day for the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. And I'll say back when I was a teenager and the internet finally became more accessible and they started putting more on it, I used to watch all the video game console reveals and stuff like that and what the hardware would offer. So this was just an experience that I loved. It didn't bring me back to more or less a place of nostalgia, but it did show off some of the hardware capabilities and things that they're adding to it. And then they hit hard with a new Mario Kart game, Mario Kart World. I guess it should make sense that they turned it into an open world game. It looks pretty good. I like it. I know the Switch 2 probably isn't gonna be the most gonna be yeah, going to be the most graphically advanced console out there, but they have definitely made some efforts to at least make games play at a 60 frame per second, which is a minimum from the looks of it. But they also have up to 120 frames, which, okay, yeah, that's actually really good. Now, my question is, because they have other parts later on, like games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Remake, I mean, even the PlayStation 5 has a bit of an issue with that, and the PlayStation Pro plays it better. So we'll have to see how they handle games like that. Now, the one thing I am going to sort of knock them for, yes, they gave us a date of June 5th. They did not give us a price, though. I'm guessing this thing's going to be expensive. Somewhere between $350 to $500, maybe more. But I don't know at this point. We'll have to see. But a Mario Kart game, or just a Mario game in general, being announced was expected. Something to help sell the console. I kind of thought they were going to lean into Metroid Prime 4, but Metroid doesn't seem to be that big. Yes, it sold several million copies with Metroid Prime. Sorry, not Metroid Prime. Metroid Dread, and I don't know how well the Metroid Prime remake did. So, yeah, it makes sense to go with a Mario title. I mean, Mario is their most popular character, so yes. The next part was just absolutely cringe, and I wish it would stop. I was literally sitting here, make it stop for like however many minutes straight it was, and that was going over the communication button they added to the controllers. So this whole entire segment was just the worst part of the whole entire direct. I mean, yes, it comes off as fake and acted because it is, but cringe doesn't begin to describe this whole entire thing. And they're like, yeah, you can start sharing your screen with your friends. And I'm like, okay, I guess. I mean, I could see advantages for that in terms of some games. Maybe for those who are really social. I mean, I'm pretty sure I have some antisocial tendencies. But this whole entire part was just like I said, make it stop. And then they show these tiny little screens with these absolutely horrendous frame rates. Probably not really selling it with the over bubbly attitudes of all these people. And I'm just like, make them go away. So that's exactly what I'm going to do because I'm not going to subject you to it anymore. The other thing they did, actually, I shouldn't say other thing. There's plenty of things they did. So they showed off a game share, which is nice. Nothing too big about that. And then they let us know about the improvements over the Switch 1. They went from 720 to 1080p, which is nice. It's going to have smoother gameplay, up to 120 frames per second, which I am going to say is probably going to depend on the game. Extremely so. It's also going to have more memory and stuff like that. It's things you would expect for improved hardware, basically. Nothing I wasn't expecting or even surprised by. Now, I will admit the dock having a cooling system on it is a definite improvement. The one that they have now, I question highly. It's probably the one thing I don't particularly like because I know my Switch gets a little on the warm side depending on what game I'm playing. And those little docks are not great for airflow. So them adding a fan to it is, personally, yes, I find that as a relief. I know that's making it sound like it's bigger than it actually is. But I had a day one Switch that melted. So yes, that is a big thing for me. They did replace it and fix it though. Don't let me lead you astray. Nintendo fixed it. I sent it in. I had to deal with a whole boatload of people though. For whatever reason, I had to talk to like 10 people answering the same questions via email and phone calls. I mean, they probably thought I dipped it in water because they kept asking, did you spill it in water? And I'm like, no. But I live out in the most humid area of the United States. I practically go swimming in the summer. Humidity's going to leak into the house. Sorry. And when I say I go practically swimming, I mean just stepping outside. The humidity is so thick and muggy here at times. Now, the one thing that I am going to say people probably aren't going to be happy about is they have the Welcome Tour as a paid game. I hope it's really cheap. That's going to be their only saving grace for this. And I guess one thing I sort of glazed over is they're going to be able to use the Switch Joy-Con controllers as mice. And the other thing that I'm guessing is probably going to be a point of contention from some people is the Switch 2 versions of games. I don't expect the Switch versions of these games to be selling well with the Switch 2 out there, but it's a possibility. But they have basically Switch 2 versions of previous Switch games coming to the Switch 2. That seems pretty obvious, but I feel like I had to explain that. The two that got my attention, I'm like, oh, you hit me right where it hurts, is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Both of those, I was hoping, like, if I just put them into my Switch 2, it would run better, but if they're going to make even more improvements with the games and stuff like that, yeah. And they're going to have physical copies, and I was like, oh, yes, I could download I guess, or purchase an expansion for it. But it's like, but I always love physical and I want all the content. So yeah, I'll probably buy the game again physically so I can play an improved version of the game. Their marketing tactics are successful on getting me to spend money on them. I'm going to have to work more than just 40 hours a week at this point. And there's more titles coming too, which makes it worse. Some of them I might actually just buy the digital upgrade or whatever it is, the upgrade pass. But for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, yes, I'm probably going to go physical. And in some cases, like with, say, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, they are going to have a Switch 2 version. Kind of hammers into the point that, yeah, some of these Switch versions probably aren't going to sell well because people are going to be holding out for a Switch 2, and we'll see how they handle getting hardware out to people and how their companies are going to handle scalpers. It's not hard, by the way. You can easily make it so that people can only get one console per household, retailers, but they don't listen because they're dumb. And just to emphasize that point, Amazon did it. So did Sony with the PS5, selling it directly through their website. So retailers need to pull their heads out of their butts and figure that out. So then they just had an onslaught of game announcements because they knew exactly what people were coming for. Yes, the hardware, at this point, like they did their whole entire voice chat thing, which annoyed the hell out of me. I'm going to emphasize that. They showed off the new mouse functionality. Okay, cool. People want to see what games are coming, and typically there are a lot of these titles are what I expected, like Elden Ring. But they have a new Demon X Machina game coming out, which looks like a better version of Anthem. Take that, EA. So I might actually have to check that out. I do have Demon X Machina. I got it for free on the Epic Store, but you can tell when you play it that it was designed around a console, and it controls awkwardly on a PC if you use a keyboard. And then they had Split Fiction, which just came out from the same people who did It Takes Two. The gameplay in that was fun. The parents are absolutely horrible people, and it was probably actually better that they got divorced than stayed together because of how many issues they had. I haven't played this yet, and I'm doubting I can find anybody to play it with me after I subjected them to It Takes Two. You know, especially after killing the elephant. And then there's EA with the typical sports garbage. If you're a sports gamer, sorry, but you contributed to some of the worst business practices in gaming industry at this point in time. A new improved version of Hogwarts Legacy, so all of you who aren't satisfied with the potato version of Hogwarts Legacy but still want to keep it on Nintendo Switch, here you go. I've been done with this game for years at this point and see no reason why to buy it again, even with mouse control. I don't know, it just feels like one of those titles it's a little too late to be putting out on the Switch, but who knows. For Tony Hawk fans, 3 and 4, never played any skateboarding games, so I really can't comment. Really just don't care all that much. They are bringing the Hitman series. I can't remember. Or maybe it's its own game. I don't know. I only played a little bit of the latest Hitman games, I guess. The whole entire series of Assassinations, so I really can't say much on that. I mean, I used to play these games back on the Xbox 360. It's just a trend throughout the whole entire video that they're bringing titles that have already been out to the Switch, which is fine. And then they had an announcement for 007. As soon as I saw the bullet going into the chamber and I heard the music, I'm like, 007. It was pretty obvious. As long as it's not another GoldenEye release like they tried to do on the Switch back in the 2000s, I'm okay with it. Then again, a lot of the James Bond games just haven't been that great. I think it peaked with GoldenEye, which is kind of sad. So then they had a trailer for Hyrule Warriors. As soon as I saw it, I knew it was going to be Hyrule Warriors, mainly because I think it was Koei. But it's a Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which covers the story of Zelda going to the past and fighting in the imprisoning war. I say that very lightly because I also played, what was it, Hyrule Warriors Cataclysm? Whatever, the one that was supposed to fill in story gaps for Breath of the Wild. It was its own distinct thing. It didn't fill any gaps or anything like that. So, not really. I don't expect it to actually tell that story in any shape or form. So, the one thing that I know a lot of people have been anticipating for a really long time and has been rumored to happen is GameCube coming to the Virtual Console, which is going to be a Switch 2 exclusive. So, to anyone who wants to play those, and they are starting out semi-strong with the Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, a couple of titles like that. They are going to have a better resolution. If you ever play on the GameCube, it looks like a potato now, to be honest. And I have a really hard time finding a converter to display in HDMI without stretching the image out. I'm still actually looking for one that's good, which is weird because my old 2007 TV can do it. And I can't find a modern day converter that will display the image without turning it into a pixelated, stretched out mess. Save for my big, huge 55-inch 4K TV. That's probably, it's old at this point. It's like 4 years old. Can also do it. but I can't find a mobile version of the connector to do that. So yeah, this is a viable option to play it at better resolutions without the whole fuzzy pixelization. Not to mention, the games are really, really dark. Like, I've embarrassed myself playing Metal Gear Solid the Twin Snakes. Couldn't do it because it was dark as hell. I couldn't see anything. They announced Deltarune. I'm not really familiar. I started the series that this is based off of. I should say the game. I didn't get far. And then they announced Borderlands 4. No one cares. I mean, Randy Pitchford had a meltdown when people were giving him criticism over Borderlands 4 because it looks like it's going to be a repeat of Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 was so bad, I didn't finish it. I didn't even get to the part with the annoying child before I was like, yeah, I'm done. I have zero hopes for this game being enjoyable in any shape or form, so I'm probably not even going to give it a shot. And considering Randy Pitchford's involved, I'm definitely not going to give it a shot because the guy's scum. And then they announced what looks like a multiplayer Astroneer game. I have not played it. I kind of want to. I'm not really sure. But it may be interesting. Who knows? And like I said, there's just a slew of games that have already been out coming to the Switch because it's a more powerful system. Nothing I didn't expect or anyone with some idea would not expect. So anyone who wants Silk Song, they finally got your back. Got it in a Nintendo Direct finally, with an announcement of this year. So From Software is actually bringing an exclusive title to Nintendo Switch 2. So that's probably going to help sell consoles right there. I have played Elden Ring. I'm not good at it. And I'll admit I had to mod it just a little bit to make it through because I suck at the game. I will try an honest playthrough at some point. Keeping myself honest by playing it on a console instead of PC version, though. So it looks like you play as monsters or maybe vampires of kinds. But when I saw the guy turn into like 90% T-Rex and eat, I was like, oh my. Oh. I'll probably try and get this game. If it's multiplayer, I'll play it with my youngest brother, who will carry me throughout the whole entire game because he's much better at gaming than I am. Mainly because he's also more coordinated than I am. And I'm old as hell. My reflexes suck at this point. I'm not that old. I'm just saying that. It's what happens when you turn 30 plus. You start falling apart, literally. Then Nintendo announced one of their own IPs, Kirby Air Riders, a sequel to Kirby Air Rider. So Air Riders made its circuit amongst content creators, depending on who you follow. I don't know, maybe like 10 plus years ago. So this will probably excite a bunch of people. I can think of one particular guy, Ant Dude, who will probably be excited for this. So the last game they went over, I was actually really excited for as soon as I started seeing some of the gameplay. And when they showed the monkeys, I'm like, this is a Donkey Kong game, isn't it? And then he went the woo noise that Donkey Kong makes. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's a Donkey Kong game. And then he starts smashing through the terrain. I was like, oh. I was like, that is neat. Especially because I'm playing Hydroneer and I'm doing a lot of mining. This will be a different twist on that, so that might be fun. So I'm actually really looking forward to this game. I do have Donkey Kong on the 64 via the Wii U, and I have yet to finish it. Maybe I'll play that at some point. It's just a giant collectathon. But Nintendo going into another 3D game with Donkey Kong, it's probably what I would say about time. I mean, a lot of their other games, yes, they do work both 2D, but they've managed to have a formula like, say, Metroid Prime to put it into 3D. So it just feels right for them to actually finally do another 3D Donkey Kong game. I can already tell you my wallet's going to be hurting this year. Oh my god. Okay. Anyways, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Have a good one. And I'd also like to thank the 3 presenters for it. They did a really good job, and I actually really liked this direct. It was what we expected, a presentation of games. Again, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Have a good one.